Hey everyone, welcome back to Notes to Self. My name is Melanie,
And I'm Corey.
and we were both born and raised in a polygamous cult here in Utah called the AUB, or the Apostolic United Brethren. I was raised with 34 brothers and sisters.
And my dad had 9 wives, 39 kids, all up in a compound in Pinesdale, Montana. So,
Yeah, I forgot to say the wives part, huh? I had 4 mothers and 34 brothers and sisters. My dad's the current leader of the AUB, and
mine is not.
Corey's is not. So here we go. We're going to give you our thoughts on the latest episode of Sister Wives, season 20, episode 10.
Extending an olive branch.
Extending an olive branch, yeah. So we've had a little bit of a cold around here, so we're getting our recap out a little bit later than we'd liked to. But this episode had so much going on, and
Most of it's in the end.
yeah, and we unexpectedly had both of our mothers here at the same time. So we watched the episode with both of our mothers who have been in the polygamous group since, I mean, for well over 55 years, almost 50 years. So we were able to get their feedback on what they thought about some of it too. And we did a live watch that is in our profile if you want to go check that out. We did that live reaction as we were watching the show, and kind of gave you some of our thoughts there. But it's been kind of fun. We don't, in the 26 years we've been together, we haven't had both of our mothers with us at the same time very often. And yet last Thanksgiving we did, and then this Thanksgiving we did too. So it's been kind of interesting. We know we don't have a lot more mother time with some of them. So we've really enjoyed having them here. Corey's mom is still here visiting with us. And, so yeah, it's been fun, but, dang it, there was some, Holding Out Help. So thank you guys for everyone who has donated to Holding Out Help. They apparently have received quite a few donations. If you've heard us mention before, polygamy was decriminalized here in Utah. So it's not legal, but it's not illegal anymore. It's basically going to give you the same infraction as like a parking ticket. So since that happened back in 2020, the increase in need for people leaving polygamy and, people who are born and raised in this and know no other way of life has increased by 278%. And so they are really in need of donations, and especially around the holiday season. So when you are considering where you want to give your holiday donations to this year, please consider them. I try to always tag them in our show notes. They're typically going to be the first link that you're going to see as you go into our show notes.
A lot of wives and children are leaving now that they're not afraid that they're going to lose their kids and be thrown in jail. So
yeah,
they're leaving the AUB, all the
FLDS, the Kingstons,
all the polygamous groups. Now it's not as scary to step out and leave those groups, but they are in need of help. So
yeah, and some of these are people who are extremely uneducated. When I left at 25, I hadn't graduated high school. I had 3 babies, and that's just what happens when you're in these communities. The least educated you are, the more easily you are controlled. And so most of these women and children don't have solid educations. And when they come out, they really are at the mercy of people who will step up and help them. So with this holiday season, please consider them as a source. There is a place where you donate. You do not have to put that you came to them from us. They just ask that we mention that so that they can kind of track where their people are coming from to donate. So we really appreciate that. If you are looking for a really worthy cause for the holiday season to donate your holiday dollars to. So, what?
And let's get our tagline in for let's get some healing done.
Yeah.
So, it's a great time to heal, connect with family, stuff like that, and work out some of those hurt feelings. So.
And that is one of the great things about Holding Out Help is they offer for specialized therapy for people who are coming out of, religious trauma is a thing. But when you're coming out of certain types of religious trauma, it helps to have specialized therapists in that. And right now they do have therapists that specialize in people coming out of religious trauma due to polygamy.
Dogmas.
Yeah. So there's a lot of dogmas in there. There's a lot of, as anyone who's gone through religious trauma knows, that there's a lot of stuff that can happen in there. So take those into consideration as you're looking for someone. But yes, please get your healing work going, get your healing work started. It's been Yeah. As we watch this show, I swear Sister Wives has been like, I don't know if it's therapy or trauma therapy or I don't know, but it gets us going, gets me going.
Yeah, it's therapy.
Especially on this episode. I had to pause this episode a couple times and really get angry, especially towards the end of the episode where Cody's going to go on his pilgrimage. It just gets so frustrating to watch this because I've grown up with so many men and their self-righteousness. And Cody thinks that he's on like, I don't know if he feels like this is going to make a great season 21 because he's on some apology pilgrimage. Why? And I don't understand why he's always having to go on these pilgrimage because he's a benevolent, righteous man. Well, those are his words.
It's a good thing to go on a pilgrimage, to change, to heal, to do stuff like that. As long as he's on that pilgrimage and can actually fulfill it all the way to the end where he actually heals and creates a connection between his ex-wives and his kids, I'm all for it. So I'm all for it. But it's a lot of times when we see polygamous men do this, it's because it's just to make them feel good. And if it doesn't work out the way that they wanted, then they give up. And so,
well, and they can be really mean. If you don't respond the way they think that you should respond, they can be really mean. And so listening to, and for those of us who have been, I don't consider myself to be a victim by any means, but those of us who have been victimized by men like this, it's hard to watch. It makes me feel really angry inside. It makes me feel sad, makes me find all these deep wounds that I clearly haven't healed from yet. And even both of our moms felt that way too, listening to some of it, where they were both just like, this, he doesn't want to apologize to help them and their lives. He wants to apologize to fix his and his life. And I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing either, but.
Well, he states it right in here that he wants to apologize so that they'll leave him alone. They'll be kinder to him.
Right.
And so,
well, and he's getting a lot of public scrutiny, and the court of public opinion can be brutal sometimes, as my father is currently finding out. And so it is very hard. For those of you who don't know, my mom's suing my dad. That just came out and hit the news too. We'll be doing some lives this weekend to talk about this a little bit more in depth. But the court of public opinion can be very brutal. And so, of course, these men who have been used to being put on this pedestal and treated as gods, now all of a sudden the court of public opinion is tearing these men down and they don't like it. That is such a huge contrast from what they've been for what Cody was. The original wives put him up on this pedestal and treated him like he was a god for 18, 19 years before Robin came into the picture. And the children did as well. And now the court of public opinion is knocking that pedestal right out from underneath him. And I feel like sometimes that might be why he's trying to do this little redemption tour, is because he doesn't like the way that feels.
Well, and he was used to being treated a certain way. And once those 3 of the wives that supported him, as Janelle said, but they supported him and encouraged relationships with the kids and all of that stuff. Once that's gone, and he's having to do it on his own, it is difficult. And he doesn't have a 4th wife that's
right.
She says she's supportive, but a lot of her actions aren't supportive in actually creating healing between him and his children. So she wants to be a part of it, in the middle of it. And that's what caused the problem in the first place. So
and she doesn't support him the way that the other wives do. And if you ask Robin, she probably feels like that's a good thing. And it probably is, to be honest. She's probably a little bit more honest with him than the other 3 wives were. And not that the other 3 wives meant to lie to him. They were just treating him the way that we were raised to treat your husband. And Robin comes in and says, let's get a little bit more. She wants Cody to be accountable, but she doesn't like accountability, it seems like. So what's good for the goose is not good for the gander in that situation. So we start the episode off with Janelle talking about when she came into plural marriage. When what I wanted to really strike about with Janelle is that Janelle said she learned about polygamy at the end of high school. She always had token polygamous friends, and that she decided that she was going to pray and fast. So praying and fasting is pretty common for most religions. That's not exclusive to Mormonism or the AUB, but that is typically how you gain a knowledge, or what you believe is to be an inner knowing or an inner knowledge of something to be true.
Testimony.
The testimony. And so Janelle says this happened for her when she was in high school, at the end of her high school career. And she decided that she was going to go and look into Cody Brown. Now, we all know that she married Mary's older brother, which I was friends with him growing up. He was a great guy. But I don't believe he ever intended to live plural marriage. He had joined the Mormon church. And so for whatever reason, that relationship ended, and she decides she's interested in Cody. Her mom decides to go to Wyoming and save her from the polygamous cult, and ends up marrying Cody Brown's dad, and ends up becoming, and I love it when Janelle says, well, this is going to be hard to explain to people, like, yeah, my mom's married to Cody's dad. This is extremely, extremely common in the polygamous community for men to marry, for these types of intermarriages to be happening. They're all over the place. There's daughters that marry.
This is normal.
So. Yes. And it's funny because, we've joked about polygonometry. This is exactly what polygonometry is. It's like, trying to explain white and black and purple and red, like what it's like trying to explain all of these things that kind of go together, but then kind of don't go together because they're colors. And that's how I feel like, as Janelle's trying to explain, that her mom comes in to save her and ends up marrying Cody's dad. One of the things that she says, you should probably say that. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't say that on our channel about the Mormon church and how it's, Corey made a comment the other day that the mainstream Mormon church is the gateway drug to polygamy, because polygamy was originally founded and taught through the Mormon church. So we laughed about that the other day, because those who are deeply convicted in Mormonism will often, when something happens with a current prophet or a current leader that they disagree with, they will try to find another alternative, such as the roots of Mormonism, which is polygamy.
Yeah. Well, what happens is the LDS church actually goes out and sends missionaries out.
Proselytes all over the world.
Yeah, all over. They're the biggest. They bring so many people into the Mormon church. And usually people who are raised in the Mormon church just learn what they're being taught in Sunday school. They really don't delve deep into the origins of the religion. But a lot of people who join the Mormon church get excited about it and then start to study the origins of it, and then go, wait a minute, the Mormon church isn't living everything that they originally taught. And so they start asking questions, get deeper into it. And a lot of times they have people within the Mormon church who aren't necessarily living polygamy, but will point them in the right direction. And so the AUB, all these fundamentalist communities, get most of the people that come into them have come through the church. Yeah. So they've come in, studied more, want to live all of the laws. And so they're pointed in the direction of the AUB or the FLDS or the Kingstons or wherever it is. And they have people throughout the church that kind of will just point them in the right direction. So,
and you see this too within the different polygamous sects. Like you've got the Kingstons, you've got the FLDS, you've got the AUB. Those are the bigger, larger ones. But you'll see this too. Somebody will disagree with the leadership in some way, and then they'll jump to a different group because they're trying to find what they believe is called the whole or fullness of the gospel. And so you'll see this happen quite often. But a lot of times if people leave polygamy, they'll jump right back into mainstream Mormonism. And so it goes both ways. It's not just one over the other. And so I'm not surprised at all if Janelle's mother was very strong, devout in Mormonism. It doesn't surprise me at all that she would go and find and learn a little bit about polygamy and then jump into the polygamous lifestyle. And so I was really surprised. Both of our parents they were converted from mainstream Mormonism. All four of our parents, our mothers and our fathers, were converted. Well, your dad, was he Mormon before he?
Yeah.
Was he? Okay.
him and his first wife, after the military, joined the Mormon Church, and were in the Mormon Church for a year or so before they started searching out more. So.
And so this leads us right into this clip that we want to show you next. If somebody disagrees with the leadership, it literally just takes one person. When you have, I don't want to compare a polygamous family to a pyramid scheme, but it kind of is to some degree. You've got somebody at the top and you've got all the little worker bees at the bottom. And it just takes one person to take a step back, and that comes crumbling down. And it's Janelle talks about it in this bonus scene, that it just takes the one person saying they don't want to do it anymore. And it's the same thing on a larger scale with a religion. This is why the FLDS and the AUB used to be one unit, and they split apart because of this happening. So now you're seeing it on a micro level in a family. And so you're seeing it happen with Cody and his wives versus an entire church
community.
Yeah. Right. So let's get Janelle on here.
Yeah, I saw the beautiful side of the relationship, and they fought so hard,
so much potential in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, she did witness us when we were all still like working towards the goal, right? And I think it's probably somewhat shocking after you see that we all unraveled so quickly. But just takes one person saying they don't want to be responsible anymore, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well, and it's the head of their family wants to focus on one family, but he's still expecting all the worker bees to donate in, and they're like, well, wait a minute, if you're not invested in this, then why don't we just invest in ourselves, our own dreams? And that's unraveled their family pretty quickly. Cody completely became not invested in the whole family anymore and let those guys. But again, that is not something new within the AUB. This isn't unique. A lot of times,
every time there's a profit shift.
Yeah. Well, and every time the husband gets a younger wife, he's going to focus on those new kids, his young kids, and the older wives usually get pushed aside and still expected to keep their covenants with him and continue to work, even though they're getting less and less attention. And so what is not normal is that he had 3 wives really go, you know what, we're going our separate ways.
All at the same time. Within relatively time.
Yeah. A lot of the bigger families, or the families that have stayed together, those wives are out still working, still putting into the pot. This is starting to become more and more unique, where wives are leaving.
Well, especially now that it's decriminalized and they can leave without the fear of losing their children, or without the fear of being thrown in jail. Then a lot more of them are choosing to leave.
Well, and I would say back when I was associated with it, unless it was a young wife trying to leave, or a wife that was really had a good job, had a good income, they were encouraged to stay with their husbands. If there was some benefits, then they were released and invited to come into another family. That's where we get the wife swapping part of the AUB. But if they didn't have those two resources, young and still be able to have children, or a good stream of income, they were encouraged to stay with their husbands.
Right. So here's another clip we're going to show you here.
I feel like the signs of the unraveling were there. We kept trying to work and put it together. But I mean, COVID definitely was a big part of it. The way that everything was so divisive, and Cody kind of was in one camp, like he was not willing to accommodate his adult children. Like, I just feel like that was big.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's fallen apart very fast, but in the beginning it was very much like we all had this purpose that we were after.
Like, I would love to see some sort of everyone's happy for each other, and
maybe in a decade.
Listen, Cody.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, basically, she says in there, we were still working to keep. And I feel like, to be honest, her and Christine have still been working together to keep the family, the core, going. Cody left him or excused himself from it.
Right.
And the two wives that had been doing all of the work with the children and keeping the house, the family together, kept doing it. And Cody and his new wife just eliminated themselves from the picture. So.
Well, and one thing Janelle says in this scene is she says that when Cody turned 50, his perspective just changed, and he just said, I don't want to, he didn't want to be responsible for his family anymore. And we do see this a lot, unfortunately. You'll see a man go through whatever midlife crisis, whatever it is that you want to label it, where they all of a sudden are like, this is a lot of work. This is really hard. I don't want to do this anymore. And they find comfort and solace in one of their wives. And that's where they want to go. That's where they want to spend the time because they're tired. They've been working hard their entire lives, trying to support these large families, trying to take care of them. And they hit a point where they're tired. I thought it was funny when Cody was like, yeah, my testosterone just fell on the floor. That's probably a lot to do with it too. Okay. Physically, men change. They go through, women do too. And so when you go in there all doe-eyed and wanting to make this perfectly wonderful, happy family, and then you work hard and you work hard and you work hard, and it's just not coming to fruition the way that you anticipated it coming. And then you have a wife who comes in and you find comfort in that. And that's what he wants to do. That's who he wants to spend his time with. And the other wives were just kind of out on their ear, which is really sad.
Well, and unfortunately for the kids growing up in this, they still continue to have children. And even though he's exhausted of raising kids and doing all that, he's still having children because one of their core beliefs is to populate and repopulate the earth. And so that's their legacy that they're creating. Right. And so even though he's exhausted of taking care and raising children and wants to just spend lovey doe-eyed time with Robin, they're still going to have children.
But and it's not just men like Cody. I have one situation in particular that came up in my mind as we were watching this, where I had an aunt whose husband just abandoned 4 wives and took off with one of them and left 3 of them behind. 3 or 4 of them behind. Well, then she remarried someone else in the AUB, and then he did the same thing. But I think I want to say he left like 8 wives and a ton of children. And a couple of his children are actually fairly big on social media now, and they talk about their experiences in being raised in polygamy, because it's a hard situation to get through especially when you hit that point in your life where you're just exhausted and you're tired and you've been working hard your whole life. This is why this usually happens to men somewhere, I would say, in their mid 40s to early 60s. That's why I think it's interesting. Your dad started polygamy in his mid 40s. Yeah. Like, that's just insanity to me. Okay. And then we go over to Mary and her friend Amber. They're talking about going on this dating thing. Mary talks about being single and how she's okay if she doesn't find somebody who is the other type, the other side of her. Sorry, I've had a little bit of a cold this week and it is just getting my throat.
I gave her a 24-hour cold.
Oh my gosh.
I'm done with it, but she's
kicking the crap out of me. But one of the things Mary talks about that I really wanted to touch on is that how dysregulating polygamy can be on a woman, especially because you're always wanting that attention. Like, you're never settled down into that comfortable. It's not even always, they always warn you, don't ever get comfortable with your partner because you always want the butterflies and the rainbows and whatever. But in polygamy, that's literally everyday life. And that can be so dysregulating on your nervous system because you are always like, is he going to pay attention to me? And you might not even like this man, but you're vying for attention from him all the time because then it makes you feel worthy. It makes you feel valuable, makes you feel seen. And so the way she talks about that she's always begging for attention and always, it's a constant roller coaster of, is he going to pay it? How's he going to be with me when he gets to my house? Is he going to show me some attention or is he not? And I think that's really sad because it's almost like the X syndrome when you when you're with a partner and they don't appreciate what they have, and then you separate, and then they're like, wait, just a second, I really want your opinion. That's kind of what it's like in polygamy. Every day your husband leaves you and goes to someone else's house. You're constantly like, wait, I want your opinion. I want your attention.
And I'm sad too, because I'm excited. We've raised our kids. They're all adults now. And this is the exciting part of the next chapter, where we get to travel and enjoy each other and not have to worry about kids. These wives are doing that alone.
I know. And I love that we love to hang out together.
Like doing that part of it alone. Okay, the kids are all grown. Now we're doing this on our own, because he's still concentrating on raising the next batch of kids, with a different wife.
And so then these women get to their golden years, or they're, into their 50s and 60s, and they're wanting to travel and do these types of things. I love that we're about to be able to hit this stage of our life, and we actually like to be around each other. Yeah. I would have the hardest time if because we do like to hang around each other, if you went on like a week vacation to Hawaii with one of your other, there's no way I would not be able to handle that. And so
we were not built for polygamy.
No. And this is what is so hard about this lifestyle, is you go from 1 million people in your home, literally a Friday night it could have like 30 people in your home, to nothing, to all of a sudden you are home alone. And you're like, where did everybody go? And now they're off living their own lives, and your husband's off living, having a Friday night with your sister wife, and you're home alone and you're trying to figure it out. And so that, I think, is the hardest part of this religion, that most women don't get to that point because their family breaks up before they ever get to that point. But when you do get to that point and you're sitting there like, what happened? How did that go by so fast? And B, now what do I do with myself? I'm all alone. And I don't wish that kind of loneliness on anyone. And then we switch over to Christine and David, and they're going bowling. And I really appreciated Isabel's commentary here. She's trying to talk about David and saying, I used to be so worried that David would come in and think he was our dad. And I appreciate that she has appreciation for David and says he doesn't overstep. He never oversteps in their relationships.
He is their mother's husband. It's not the dad. They were
raised by a father.
She was worried about that because of the pattern that was set before.
Watching Cody.
No, I am the father. We're going to adopt you. We're switching everything around. That's a fear that the other kids who are watching, if our mom left, would we have to go through that same thing? So I can see where she
renamed and adopted into another family.
Yeah. And so it's interesting that she was worried about that behavior and saw that behavior didn't happen. This was a normal behavior that kind of went on, that Cody set a pretty different standard when Robin and the other kids came into the family.
Yeah. So Isabel had every reason to be concerned, because she watched what her father did. And that is one of the things that we worked on when we joined our families. I had 3 children when we got married, and their entire lives, I have always wanted them to be proud of where they came from, proud of their last name. And really, it was never trying to integrate them into making them Corey's kids. It was always, no, this is who, and obviously they called you dad and did that kind of stuff too, but it was never forced upon them. If they wanted to call him dad, they did. If they didn't, they didn't. And I felt like watching, we're only on season 4. Who knows if we're ever going to get through Sister Wives, but it seems like these children it's being forced upon them. They don't have an option of whether they want to acknowledge Cody as a father or not.
Well, I think it was more along the lines, to be honest with you, as I look back, once our children, the 2 youngest, started calling me dad, they all joined in and kind of started calling me dad. It's like our grandchildren. We've got a granddaughter that calls me Papa, and so would be my nephew, or he's a nephew. But
we have 2 adopted grandchildren.
But he calls me Grandpa or Papa too, because that's who I am around them. So it's just the way that they kind of grew up.
when we got married, my baby was 2. And so really Corey's the only father that he's ever really known in his life as a stable father. And so, but we never forced, I mean, my other 2 kids were 7 and 9, 7 and 9. And so we didn't force that upon them. And so I don't blame Isabel for her concern about David, but he seems like, again, we don't know a lot about David. We're only seeing what we see, and it's a small edit, but it seems like he had to really become very emotionally intelligent, because I think he had 8 children when his wife passed. And so he had to learn how to do this with her and her children, or with the children. And so I feel like he is kind of almost like the perfect role to step in. And
well, he's leading by example.
Exactly.
So, and then Christine said in here, and that one really stood out to me, that she said, it's important for my kids to see me in a functioning relationship. That is super, super important.
Yeah.
Because
we didn't get to see that growing up.
We didn't know what that looked like.
Yeah.
And so we had to do therapy and learn the hard way on how to create those functioning relationships between ourselves. So,
and we really were not exposed to healthy marital relationships. We had no idea what they look like. I mean, this is another reason, if you follow Corey and I very often and you know our story, this is another reason we got divorced, and we were divorced for 2 years, is because we just didn't see what healthy relationships look like. And we fell into the same patterns that we were shown when we were growing up. And when we got back together and decided to work things out, we really had to make a commitment to make our lives, to make our marriage different and healthier. And now our grandchildren I feel like we exposed our kids to a healthy relationship. But when things got really hard, we defaulted to our programming, and now our grandchildren will get to see something totally different.
And we did a lot of marriage counseling and therapy to learn a whole new way of existing, and communicating.
Right. So now we switch over to Cody and Robin. They're in a restaurant. They're having dinner. I feel like, again, a lot of we know that they went bowling as part of the show, but some of these conversations between Cody and Robin feel so rehearsed and staged. But Cody's talking about, and I really just struggle. Like, I don't want to make fun of Robin's face, but it is so hard for me. I just want to be like, shake her and be like, come on, smile just a little bit. But she's got this perma frown all the time. It's really hard to watch. But
she is smiling. You just have to turn her head upside down.
I know. I got to turn the whole TV upside down and see the other side of her smiles. Oh my gosh. But she's talking about, go ahead.
That's just a devout religious.
It truly
smile.
Is. And I'm sorry to say that it is.
She's got that humble look down. So
it's like, what are you smiling about? What? Tell me what, it's almost like you're in trouble if you're happy or smiling. And so if you're humble and sweet and it's just, but I wrote that down, Cody and Robin and her frowny face. And then he's talking about how he feels manipulated and unsafe. This is where I almost threw something at the television, because I was like, excuse me, sir, you feel manipulated and unsafe, that people feel the need to break away. And this is what kills me about this man, is he's sitting there. I felt very manipulated and unsafe. And I'm like, 3 people all felt the same way about you. And 3 people had to remove themselves from your life as a partner because they all 3 felt the same. You're one person. You're the common denominator here, buddy. And so that infuriated me. But he talks about how he has so much vitriol and venom towards these women, and that he feels shame for some of the ways that he treated them. And he probably should. We talk about healing because shame and guilt are 2 of the lowest vibrations on this planet. But sometimes shame is a good thing because it causes you to movement. It makes you move. It makes you do something different. And so sometimes shame can be that launching point that says, I don't like what I'm doing right now. I feel a lot of shame about who I am. I'm going to change and be different. And then you make a different choice and you do something. And so, but it doesn't seem that way with Cody. It doesn't seem like shame does that for him. He just digs himself deeper into a different level of shame or a different level of guilt. Okay, that one was really uncomfortable. This level of shame I can live with. I don't know.
Yeah.
Am I being too harsh?
Well, I think shame.
It's so frustrating.
I think shame is a new emotion for him. To be honest with you, when he was married to the original 3 wives, he didn't feel shame. He felt
He didn't
like
need to.
He didn't. Yeah, he was being lifted up so much. I think Robin introduced him to the shame part of it. She came right on in, and because then instantly he was out there correcting the behaviors of the other wives, where I felt like before he probably, you work that out with your sister wife, you do this. This is the first time probably in any of their marriages that he's coming and saying, you need to be nicer to Robin. You need to be
right. He knows how to
this
dish
way.
shame and
So,
guilt out,
yeah.
but I don't think he felt a lot. Well, he even says that too. He's like, yeah, before these divorces, I thought everybody liked me.
Yeah.
I didn't know people didn't like me. And so he lives in this world of delusion that has been grandured up by the religion, by the patriarchal system.
Since you brought that up, something Melanie I had never heard it until I started hanging around with her, but she's saying that if somebody calls you a jackass, you can kind of
ignore them.
Take that and check in. Am I being a jackass? But if 3 wives call you a jackass, you might want to go buy a saddle.
Because you're probably a jackass.
Because you're probably a jackass. So, yeah. So that popped into my mind when we were watching this, and he was saying, I'm a jackass. Three people that I thought I was their hero now think I'm a jackass. Yeah, dude, you might want to grab that saddle.
It's true. Like, you can ignore one person's opinion of you. That's irrelevant. But multiple people have the same opinion of you. You might want to take a look at that behavior and
it's
see.
just not 3 wives. It's the kids too that have been dealing with his behavior, his jackass behavior.
Right. And he doesn't even see that. So yeah, you're true. I agree with you. He probably didn't feel a lot of shame or a lot of guilt before. And now he's saying that he does.
He can sit there and hold on to, yes, Mary and Robin get to know about the tryst before college, but the other 2 wives don't get to know that. He doesn't feel any guilt about, and that's not a feeling that he even knows how to feel.
Right.
So
I hope everybody buckles up too, because I have 4.5 pages of notes on this thing. We're going to be here for just a minute. I'm looking at our time already, and I'm like, no, it's good, because I mean, we had a lot, and it helped that we had 2 other mothers with us here to talk about things too. All right, so I happened to just pause this right on the frowny face that I'm talking to you about here. So let's see. Let me unmute this.
Just with what I need to own about the breakups, about how things happen with the family, and sort of how my attitude has been for the past few years. And I'm just like, I want them, my ex-wives, to move on, to be happy, to enjoy life, to
buddy.
sort of let things just go away, leave it alone, and moving on. The toxicity of divorce is a tragedy. And I believe that with good planning and conversation, a couple could get out of a marriage without so much toxicity. But I don't know, because I don't know anybody who's done that. I don't know anybody who I know people who are associating with their exes, and they don't think they're toxic, but when I watch them, I say that's terribly toxic.
This whole bonus scene is so hard to watch, because it's so true. I don't know what hole this guy lives in, but he doesn't see reality for what it is most of the time. I actually didn't even play the part that I wanted it to play right there. So I'm going to find that part right now.
Well, the interesting part is the wives have all moved on, but my kind of take on this is Cody was lifted up or idolized from these 3 wives. They empowered him to be the priesthood leader, to be, he thought he was very likable and stuff like that because he had 3 wives that were like, oh, you're so funny, you're so likable, all of those things. And they wouldn't necessarily bring up or couldn't bring up his flaws.
Right.
And so now those wives have gone. He's got a wife, which might be a great thing for him, that will point out his flaws, what he needs to do.
Seems to do that well.
Does that well. And so he is missing what those wives created for him. And so, well, I wish they'd just move on. No, you don't. You're saying that with your mouth, but they have moved on. They're done with you. They were celebrating the end of Cody Pass because it's like, finally, we are completely free of Cody. They're excited about moving on, but I feel like he's out there still trying to put a hook in them to have them, come on, at least still be nice to me, encourage me, because I'm not getting that from Robin.
I need my cheerleading squad. Where'd they go?
And he's lost 3 women who cheered him on, and he's got one that's now holding him accountable for the first time in his life,
right,
for his actions, and he's missing the 3 wives and what they brought to him, because he was that funny-go-lucky guy because the way that they treated him.
They boosted him up.
They boosted his
and they
ego,
were like his backup crew, his cheerleading squad.
Yeah.
And now he doesn't
facilitate,
and he certainly doesn't have that with Robin. She's not his best cheerleader. She might be more honest with him about his flaws or about where he could improve, but she's certainly not. She doesn't rally him or boost him up. Or
that's what Janelle had said. I'm not going to facilitate him anymore.
Right.
And for 20 years, he had 3 wives that facilitated his poor behavior, or excused his poor behavior, and encouraged him on his go-lucky, happy behavior.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. So we've got this second half of this bonus scene I want to share with you here.
And I'm trying to get myself to a state of forgiving by trying to understand why they hurt me so bad, because they were hurt, so that I can be forgiving enough to just find the place to apologize. And it's very confusing because we're human. We're not saints. We're all sinners. And it's like, how am I going to do this? I don't know how to.
I literally went into like almost a rage when I saw that part of it. My poor moms, both of our mothers, were like, oh shit, look at Mel. Because he needs to get to a state where he understands why these women hurt him so bad. This is why we see this behavior from Cody for the last however many years that these women have left him, is because he genuinely feels like they hurt him, that they went out of their way to hurt him. This is such a typical polygamous male attitude. It's like, why? I have been feeding you scraps for 20 years. Why aren't you happy with those scraps anymore? You need to sit in the corner that I put you in, and you need to just sit there and wait till I get around to you. This goes right back to what Mary was saying with her girlfriend in the hotel, that she got tired of waiting for Cody to come around. It was an emotional roller coaster. But this is the agreement that we have been taught our entire lives, is you get used to the corner that your husband set you in, and don't cause waves, because the minute that you cause waves, you hurt him. And now he's upset with you because you hurt him.
Well, and they violated their covenant. And that's where most, especially in past generations, they would take what their husband said, hey, I'm going to be spending more time. And they never violated their covenant. And in his eyes, all 3 of these wives have now violated their covenant.
But you have to explain what you mean by that. What does violating their covenant mean?
Not speak ill.
Yep.
Not to speak ill about their priesthood leader.
Yep.
And not to leave the spiritual marriage. So if they say, okay, we're done, and leave that spiritual marriage, then they have broken the covenant. He has not, because he still will give them scraps every once in a while, do an anniversary or do a birthday. But normal polygamous families, that wife is no longer can have children, and so they will get those special days out of the year, but the majority of his time needs to be spent with the wives that have the young children, even though he's neglecting some of the wives that have the young children, because they have shown the capability to take care of the children on their own. But Robin can't take care of the children on her own. She's weak. He made an agreement to her that he'll raise those children. So he's pushed those wives out. And when they left and when they spoke ill about him, they have broken those 2 covenants that they made in the endowment house, to never speak ill of the priesthood leader and to never break their covenant and leave him.
Right.
And so,
and you heard Cody say
he's having a hard time forgiving that covenant that they broke in his eyes.
And we've heard him say that the man cannot seek a release. Well, this is one of the reasons why, is because he doesn't want to be the one that broke the covenant. He wants them. And then now he's a victim of these women because they did what they promised for all eternity that they would not do.
Yeah.
And
he outlasted he outlasted it. He didn't seek a release, but he did everything that he watched the previous generation do by putting those wives out and away.
Yeah. And so this is why this infuriated me so bad, because for 27 years now, since I have been divorced, was my fault, because I should have tolerated the behavior that was given to me by my ex-husband. And the minute that I stopped tolerating that is when I became the person who is hurting him. And and
spoke out against him.
It's infuriating
what
to
you're
watch.
doing is wrong. You're not supposed to be able to do that. You're speaking out against your priesthood leader. That is the rule number 1 you do not do. And so when these women speak out against their priesthood leader and then throw up their hands and leave, they have violated their covenant.
And this is my dad is currently in this position with where Cody Brown is now. And my dad's fuming, pissed. He's angry that my mom is not paying, that she is not fulfilling her covenant. He put her in a corner. She should stay there till he comes back and gets her and pays attention to her. And this is what we were taught as young women our entire lives. This was our duty. This was our responsibility. This is our covenant mate that we have now found. And we should be grateful for any, tiny little breadcrumbs that he wants to give us. And when these women realize, I don't have to do this, I can leave, and now I'm going to, now they've hurt him. I literally wanted to scream. I think I said the F word a couple of good times. And my mom's used to hearing me say the F word, but Corey's mom's probably a little bit more like, it wasn't very fun. But that part, like I literally, if you look at my notepad, it's all in capital letters. What the ever living hell? So this is very much the attitude of these men, and you're seeing the whole world's seeing it play out on television. And this is a conversation that I literally had with my mother this morning was, Sister Wives has done a lot of damage for a lot of people, but it's also done a lot of good because a lot of women in this polygamous situations are now seeing their lives and the things that they have gone through played out on their TV screens. And it's validating. It's validating for these women who felt that this was wrong, but they didn't know how to express that. They felt like what they were experiencing with their husband and with their sister wives was wrong. But now they're watching these guys play this out on television and they're feeling validated because, wait a second, the court of public opinion says this is wrong. You don't treat your family this way. You don't treat your wives this way. And now all of a sudden these women are like, oh, so I'm not wrong for feeling this way. Everyone thinks that this is wrong. This isn't just me falling away from my faith or falling away from my religion. People outside say this is wrong too. And again, I know I get really hard on the women in here because you don't know, a lot of them don't realize they're being abused. And I feel like that's one of the biggest things that Sister Wives has given so many polygamous women is the validation that they have been abused and they are currently being abused.
That normal polygamous behavior
does not allow for
abuse.
This. Yeah. Normal society does not treat people this way. Normal society does not treat women this way. You don't treat the partner that you love, that you chose to have children with this amount of disrespect. Okay. there we go. That's a little tangent. Yeah, this video is going to be like 2 hours long. Okay, so here we go. We'll skip over a couple of the things that we were going to talk about, but one of the situations right here with Robin. Oh, let me unmute this.
Shocked. And I was trying really hard not to give him too much reaction because I was just like, I was processing it. He says a lot of things that may not even happen. So
I want to apologize.
Right there, I wanted to point that out because this goes right back to what you were saying earlier. One person says you're a jackass, you can ignore them. But now 4 wives have now all confirmed that Cody says a lot of things that he never fulfills, that he never does. And you haven't really heard Robin say that or do that in a lot of past episodes. I feel like she tries to validate or back Cody up in that. Go ahead.
Yeah, he has a pattern of inconsistency. He's not very consistent. So
Yeah.
he says a lot of things. And yeah, 4th wife now confirms that he'll say the pretty words. And she would know because she says all the pretty words, and her consistency or her pattern of changing what she does to the rest of the family, her divisiveness hasn't changed at all either. So.
Right. And this whole conversation between Cody and Robin at the restaurant was really disturbing because if you look at season 1, yes, Cody was anxious to come out to the world about his lifestyle, about his religion. He was anxious about that, but he had a level of confidence in him and a level of self-assuredness. And this conversation shows that is just completely wiped away. He's begging for her approval. Do you think this is dumb? Do you think that this is a good idea for me to go apologize? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? And then he goes to say something, or she goes to say something, and he cuts her off and let's see, he's speaking and she tries to cut him off, but he overcuts her off. And then he goes, "Oh, sorry. I don't mean to interrupt your thought. I just want to make sure if I sound clear because I don't always." And it's like he's constantly second guessing himself now.
Well, and he says at the end of this too, that when the divorces started to happen, he went back to kind of 12-year-old behavior,
right?
Throwing his tantrums and stuff like that. He's also gone back to that. I feel like that behavior as now a husband, where he's begging for. Before
the wives were begging him.
Yeah, now he's the one, and man, that's just gotta hurt his ego that everything has now switched. He was getting all of his presence they were begging for that. And now he's begging to spend more time with Robin because he's let go or lost his connection to the other wife.
It's really sad to watch him in this scene, I think, because he just, it's almost like he's confirming things that Robin has said to him. I just want to make sure I made myself clear because I seldom ever do. And it's almost like he's just begging for her validity. Hey, validate what I'm saying here. Hey, validate that I'm not, this apology tour that I'm going on. And so you see him get in front of the camera and he seems very confident in what he's saying. And then you see him have a conversation like this with Robin and every ounce of that confidence is gone. And he's begging for approval, begging for validation. I think it's really sad. Robin does look down on him a lot. She does point out a lot of his flaws. And it's probably the 3 wives didn't do him any favors by not pointing out some of these things over the first 20 years.
But based on their religion, they couldn't.
Well, and that's true.
At that point, they were keeping their covenants. They were keeping their covenants, and their covenants was to build up their husband and make him look attractive to get more wives. So, I mean, take 3 to get into heaven, but if you can get 7 wives, then you could probably become the prophet, seer, and revelator of the AUB. And so, and definitely make it into the shiniest top part of heaven. So,
right.
And get the biggest mansion. And so, yeah, they're trying to prop up their husband to make him attractive to other wives maybe coming in.
Very true.
Let's get the 7 so we can get to the top. So
yeah, I don't know. I doubt Cody and Robin ever watch our stuff, but come on, dude, pick up your pride. Pick up, actually it's pride that's got him into all of this. Pick up your self-respect, a smidge of dignity maybe. And gosh, don't let this woman talk to you like that. And but he's done this to other women. So, I mean, I guess what's fair is fair, right?
No, I think
it's all comes around.
He's got to kind of go through this part of,
and he needs some humbling. He even says this several times, that he needs to be humbled. He wants to be benevolent and needs to find that.
Yeah, he needs to be able to, if he used this kind of behavior, going and apologizing to his kids instead of kicking on his "I'm the father" role,
right?
That can create a lot of healing. So,
and that's we've said from the very beginning is that don't go on an apology tour to your wives. Go on an apology tour to your children. And again,
off camera.
And again, the children aren't in contracts and don't make money. So you got to apologize and go on your apology tour to your women who will make money for you.
It's never a good idea to start an apology tour of, I'm going to go apologize, but I've got to apologize to this wife first because
the other two wives still scare me.
Yeah, well, she's done the least damage to me. And it's almost like he's looking to go on an apology tour. I'm sorry that this happened. What are you sorry about? And
can you apologize to me now?
You need to apologize for my hurt feelings too. And it's just going to blow up in his face. He's got to do apology, do a pattern of being a decent human being for years. And then he may get that apology down the road. He doesn't do, I don't know.
I know it's very frustrating.
Hey, it's okay not to get an apology, Cody.
Hey, why don't you just go apologize for what you did and then leave it alone?
Yeah. So a reverse apology does not mean that everything's taken care of and great. So
right. So
just go apologize, be genuine about it, and start with your kids.
And leave it there. Don't have an expectation of what's that they have to return something to you, because they don't. Okay, so then we go to Janelle with her friends, and one of the things that I feel like my mother came into polygamy the same way that Corey's mother did, very doe-eyed, very idealistic, wanting things to be a certain way, the same way Janelle did. And so Janelle's talking about this with her friends, that she came into this believing that sister wives would be best friends and that they would be able to get along, and that she quickly discovered within days after marrying Cody with her relationship with Mary, that's not how it was going to be.
It's going to be hard.
And my mom came into this religion that exact same way. Corey's mom came into this religion the exact same way. So it was interesting to hear the two of them have converse about this, because they do relate a lot to Janelle in this. And so when you come into this religion, and I really appreciated the way Janelle said this, there is no exit plan. You don't ever plan to get divorced. You don't ever plan to leave your husband. You never plan, which is funny, because for being a bunch of wife swappers in the AUB, especially, hello, there's always a plan B, or a plan C, or if you're like some women I know, you got D, E, and F guys going on, but
you're taught not that. So they teach over the pulpit, not only from the presidency of the church, but from Relief Society and things like that, this ideology of what sister wives are supposed to look like, what a perfect family is supposed to look at. These guys get up and bear their testimony on how amazing it is. And so everybody has this anticipation that it's going to be this wonderful life of sister wives working together in harmony, and the husband having this group of wives that are all love each other, love their family, love their kids. That's the story. You never hear the negative parts that we witnessed as kids growing up spoke over the pulpit. And so as young kids, okay, well, there's stuff going on within our family, but we could live this perfect utopia of polygamy, because that's all that's ever taught over the pulpit. So it's the best parts of it, how amazing it is, what you're working towards to create. And so, as you're coming into the AUB and listening to this stuff over the pulpit, you're like, this could be great, a sisterhood of raising the kids together and this whole wonderful utopia of a family.
What they don't talk about is that sister wives are nothing like your girlfriends, because sister wives are sleeping with your husband. your girlfriends don't sleep with we hope
They
your
don't.
girlfriends don't sleep with your husbands. I guess some of them could, but let's hope that they don't. But there is a deep level of religious conviction that these women experience when they convert into this religion, when they're not born into it. And I think that's the difference that I was kind of appreciating with Janelle, is she's trying to explain she had a deep religious conviction that she received at the end of high school because she wasn't born into the religion.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is stronger for a lot of people than those who are born and raised in it, because they know nothing different. And so when you have to make a decision, hey, wait a minute, I have fasted, I've prayed, I've gained a testimony, I know that I believe this is what the Lord wants me to do, there's a deeper level of conviction in that. And so I appreciated that Janelle explained that, because a lot of people don't understand. They're like, why is Janelle, even her girlfriends say it in the episode, Janelle talks about polygamy like it's still an option. That's because she received these deep convictions at such a young age and gave everything she had to that. Where Robin was born into it, which we just recently found out. Yes, Robin was born into it. And then her mom was the first wife. Yes, but she was raised in this religion from the time she was very, very tiny. And because I don't know what year her dad married the second wife, but Robin couldn't have been more than 2 or 3. And so that's the difference, is there, you don't go into this religion with an exit plan. So I just really appreciated the way that Janelle said that. Go ahead.
Well, and the Janelle saying that there is no exit, that is based on the religious teaching that the only way that you can get a release from your spouse is if that spouse has broken one of the major covenants.
Right.
They have left the AUB. They have had sex with somebody that's not one of their wives. Then the wife can get the release. It's only been recent that if a couple
abandonment was
abandonment,
option. That was never an option.
Those weren't options. That you really went into these marriages with no exit plan unless somebody within the marriage broke that covenant.
Right.
And so as long as they all felt like that they hadn't broke that covenant with each other, there was no excuse or no ability to get a release.
Right.
And so these are just new things that are coming up that they're like, hey, you can get.
Because 30 years ago, abandonment would not have been.
Yeah. And so when she was coming into it, that was not a teaching that you could get a release based on abandonment. You could only get a release. You really couldn't get a release as long as everybody was still a part of the faith and moving forward. There was no exit plan.
Exactly.
Whatsoever.
Exactly. All right, let's share this next portion of this.
So there's no legal divorce. Like, you don't have to get a divorce, but a spiritual release is essentially being released from the spiritual covenant you made to be married.
I just need to make sure all the little pieces are in place.
But now I'm like, I think it's time to kind of really cut all those ties with Cody.
Mm-hmm.
So it's become more of a thing in my brain now. Because I want to cut that final tie. Whether I imagine that it's there or I feel that it's there, whatever, I just maybe need to make sure and cut all the ties.
I don't want to so what if my religion is right and I wake up and I'm in heaven and I'm married to him? I'm like, oh, hell, I'm not having that happen. You know what I mean? So
I thought that part was so funny because I made a joke on our live video about that. Like, oh yeah, I've had that same thought. Like I had to go get a release. It was a joke. I don't believe that I don't believe I'm going to wake up in heaven one day and find out that this religion was true and that I was stuck to my ex-husband for all of eternity. Guys, so many people come in the comments and be like, oh, come on, Melanie, please tell me that you don't really believe this. No, I was joking. Maybe my sarcasm didn't come across as much, but
this is Janelle severing all ties now that she, and whether she believes it or not, no, whether Cody believes it or not, she is basically, okay, I am done.
Right.
And she's granting Cody's wish, but then Cody's like, doggone it. If she's severing all ties and there's no connection, but for him, there still is a connection. So he wants to do an apology tour and see if he can get a hook in Janelle. because he still has a connection with Janelle, and
Right.
she's ending this so that
Right.
there is no connection. She's done
Right.
with him.
Well, and there's always that, like, there's always that little portion of you like, oh gosh, what if I did screw up? I better make sure everything is severed so that I never have to chance getting stuck with this fool for all eternity. But no, I was joking. Then Janelle talks about being raised ultra conservative, no smoking, no drinking, no premarital sex, nothing. And which is very true. It is so conservative of a lifestyle. And honestly, I don't think that all of those things are bad. I don't think that participating in all those activities are bad. What I feel like takes it and makes it harder is when you add the shame and guilt to what it is that you've done. The shame and guilt and how you feel about what you've done is way worse than the actual activity that you did. Like, I'm sorry, premarital sex, the shame and the guilt that we put on people for that is way worse than the act itself, in my opinion, because those are the emotional things that tear you down for years. You're trying to fix those for years to come, and now you're parenting. Why are you smirking?
Because I have no shame and guilt. So,
So
I enjoyed.
I just feel like, oh my gosh. I just feel like it's the shame and the guilt that is tied to what it is that you're doing. It's the shame and the guilt that's tied to your wine or your alcohol or your smoking or whatever it is that other people deem, or even that you deem wrong.
Yeah. Live healthy.
Yeah.
So some of the things we were raised with were great for living healthy choices, having healthy choices. So,
and I just think I think that it's funny because then Janelle talks about this, and then boom, we clip right over to Mary and Amber in a hotel room, popping open some champagne before they go out on this. And I couldn't quite tell what Amber was saying to Mary. You're just looking for somebody that you're physically attracted to. Like, is she saying that she wants her to have a one night stand? Like, I couldn't quite understand where she was going with that. So here, Janelle's talking about being ultra conservative, and then these two girls are getting ready with champagne to go out on blind dates type thing, or speed dating. It was speed dating, right?
I feel like there were good teachings guiding teachings that I was given growing up. But there was so much that I felt just suffocated. And so, when I got out in the world, I broke a lot of the rules that I'd grown up with. But later on in life, I'm like, no, I don't want to excessively drink. I quit smoking. I did a whole bunch of different things. So
yeah, that's true. I forget you
reasons.
smoked.
Yeah, I smoked.
When we first started dating, Corey was a smoker. Not I wouldn't say he was a smoker, but you were dabbling around in it, and I was like, absolutely not. Yeah. I won't do that, just for health conscious reasons, not for any. I had no judgment about the activity itself. I just wouldn't. Just for health. I mean, for health's sakes, my mom owned a health food store. I wasn't like I just didn't participate in that kind of activity, and I did not drink until I was 26. I got drunk for the very first time at 26. Because this influence over here got me drunk for the very first time. So I just didn't participate in a lot of activities like that, not necessarily for religious reasons, but just more for health conscious reasons. Yeah. Okay. And then we flip back over to Cody and Robin. They're back at their restaurant. They just look miserable all the time. Like we're just going to share this pause. Every screen that they're in, they just look so miserable.
Sometimes I feel like if I weigh in too fast on some of his creative ideas, I can influence it in a negative way or a positive way. This specifically would be something that Cody would need to own 100,000,000%. I don't think anytime someone...
I was blown away when I watched her say that, because how many times over the last 2 seasons that we've watched all of season, I think
influence.
Yeah, we watched all of season 19 and some of season 18. And she's like, if you guys know Cody Brown, he is not to be influenced by one of his wives. And then she just clearly says that she can't. That
she's been manipulating and influencing him for the whole time. So
I'm like, what?
He can be.
This woman needs to figure out a story and stick to it, because I feel like says that because she doesn't want to be blamed for influencing him.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want to be blamed for saying, hey, you know what? That might not be a good idea. You want to rethink that? She doesn't want to get blamed for this.
Are you going to wear that today?
Are you? Yeah. I know Corey will come out of the room and I'll be like, oh, that's what you're wearing today. And he's like, no, apparently not. I'm going to go change that right now. And I feel like Cody does that to Robin does that to Cody a lot, where she's like, I don't think this is a good idea. Or even like this pilgrimage that he wants to go on. She wants to make sure that he takes 100% ownership of that so that she has no liability there whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Yet in the episode before this one, she's standing in the kitchen going, it's important for the kids to have a relationship with you and with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to take any ownership on how we get there. Those kids are just going to have a relationship with me, whether they want to or not. And so that's what's really frustrating for me. I kind of think Robin owes the family an apology tour too, not just Cody. And so I think I think this apology tour is just a way to drag the show out even longer.
Yeah.
But again, what we said earlier, that a lot of polygamous women feel validated watching this show because they know they're now being, hey, this isn't right. This behavior is not right. Maybe it might be validating for a lot of polygamous women to see an apology. But then again, I don't know.
If it was a real apology tour, then
right.
it would actually probably be something positive.
Right.
So we'll see how he performs it. The way that they're cutting it doesn't look like it's going to, the way he's speaking before the apology tour.
Yeah.
If the wives look at this, it's going to be very difficult for them to accept the apology.
Is that they're doing the apologies before they get to see this.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're filming all of this. Then he goes and does the apologies, and then they get to come and see this.
Yeah,
and now they're just like, we've been duped again.
Exactly. So
it's like that. It's kind of like when they moved to Flagstaff, when they were like, we didn't know that Dayton got into a college in Flagstaff. We didn't know until we were there. And then we all felt duped.
Well, and I feel like they're all very leery of that. They've dealt with this kind of situation before.
Right.
So that okay, I'll take your apology. Let's see how it plays out on TV before I really do. So
right. Yeah. Okay, so here comes another bonus scene. Might have to break this one down into two.
Yeah.
As well. Oh, I always keep muting it. Dang it.
Oh, that was so hard for me to hear.
Really? What was your reaction to that?
The foundation of my relationship and how I felt about you was based on the fact that you loved them. I fell in love with you because you loved your wives. Watching Cody's anger and watching just like these arrows being thrown back and forth and these bombs being thrown back and forth over the wall has been something that's been like, oh, I can't handle this. Like, because going through divorce is very traumatic unless you've got two people that can just be cool. And I watched you.
That was hard to watch with our moms too. I was asking them, what do you guys think about this? Because she says all the right things. And both moms almost immediately at the same time said, yeah, but she doesn't do what she says. And that I think is different. That's one thing I get frustrated because when you listen to Robin talk, you're like, oh, she's makes sense.
But the utopia that we were given, that we were told, the husband loves all of his wives equally.
Right.
The wives all feel the same deep love for their husband as he has for them. And so to become the perfect polygamous man, you have this deep, almost, what do they call it? Soulmate love with each and every one of your wives. Mm-hmm. They all felt that deep love. That was something that the wives were putting out there within the AUB group when Robin was dating. When Cody's coming in, she's seeing, oh, he's going to love me super deep, the way him and the wives are claiming that deep connection is. And so then for her to hear later on as the show comes out that he never loved those three original wives, then she feels like she was lied to based on the utopia of the
She was sold a story like we all
polygamous
were.
story, and all of a sudden it kind of dashed maybe even the stories that we had all been told, and maybe all even leaders of the church don't have these utopia marriages where
I think
they
it's one
love
of,
all of their wives equally.
It's one of the hardest things I think for my dad with my mom's lawsuit coming out publicly, is because we are all sold a story that, no, look, we all adore our wives. We all love our wives. We all, and it's the biggest crock of.
Well, and then when something comes out publicly in like a lawsuit, then the truth kind of comes out that no, he never did care for her.
I know,
at
right?
all, even
No,
from
he
the
never really
beginning.
did love all of his wives. It was just a story that we
It
were
was just
all
a story
sold
we were telling.
so that we were good little soldiers in an army of, for the Lord. And basically it boils down to give me all your money.
Yep.
It's a pyramid scheme with the top
raise a ton of kids so that those kids are doing the same thing and donating into the AUB tithing funds. So
exactly. And it really does, in my opinion, comes all the way down to $1. All right. And then Robin admits it right here. So let's watch this one.
To me, when I was growing up, you'd see it all the time in our church, where there would be a man with multiple wives, and there would be this, like, a wife that was just absolutely unloved, and like just the devastation of a woman trying to sit there and like be in a marriage where not only is she sharing her husband and going through that whole process of sharing all the resources and sharing his love and time and attention, but also just completely not being considered and not loved and not taken care of. And that's wrong.
And it happens all the time in the AUB, just like she said.
But the part that kills me about that is that she says these things, and yet she was the wife who was, these other women were not being taken care of. Their needs were not being met. They were not, and she didn't bother to make sure that her husband did that. She didn't say, hey, wait a minute, I'm noticing Christina's not getting attention, especially during COVID. So you get these women who come in here and they act like they know what they're doing. They act like they know how to live polygamy. And then when it comes down to actually truly trying to be conscious of another wife's needs, they're not conscious of it. So she says all of these pretty things, but she actually doesn't do them. At least if she does, we're not seeing it on television. It's not being edited for television. So that's why Mary can be completely abandoned during COVID and 100% alone. And she admits that herself. And then, and that's why Janelle can, her kids are being ignored during COVID, and Christine, and that's what Janelle said. COVID is really what brought forth, with the whole family. There was already problems there, but COVID like amplified all of these problems. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, just, and it's because, again, Robin and Cody have both seen from previous generations that usually those wives will still stay with the family with the hope of eternal life.
Right.
Even though they're being treated this poorly. So yes, she's going to say the things to look like the most righteous wife, to have that attention and stuff like that. But those wives need to endure to the end. Those wives need to hang in there. And so even though she's talking about Cody and everything, she's also frustrated with the wives that they would dare break their covenant and leave the family. Right. And then speak ill not only of the priesthood holder, but the priesthood holder's favorite wife. So
Right.
That's probably the most offensive thing to Cody and to Robin, is that they would dare speak ill of both of them.
Right.
So,
right.
Especially as she has attained herself and got to the head wife position. How dare they speak
How dare they
poorly.
Say these things of them?
Yeah, because she doesn't speak poorly of the other wives. She speaks snarky about them, but she doesn't speak poorly of them.
Right.
And so she's living her covenant to the fullest extent. So
Right. So what's funny to me too, we're going to show a couple more clips, but I think we're going to skip a few of them. Cody talks about how angry and upset and hurt he was and he swung a knife so hard he ended up cutting himself, cutting
Right
him
into the kidney.
right into his own kidneys. Yeah. We're going to, and then also he talks about how he's going to go on this tour and he doesn't know how he's going to be accepted or received, or if he even will be accepted or received. But he's going to be a bulldozer in his attempts. And that really frustrated me too, because he is so used to his word being the final word, that all of a sudden he's getting wives, well, now ex-wives giving him pushback. He's getting children giving him pushback, and he doesn't like it. So he's going to come in and he's like, not in a bulldozer way that I'm going to, no, dude, you're just going to completely level off anything that you have with any of these women and make them see your way, make them see what it is because in this religion, you're not questioned if you're the priesthood holder. Very seldom are you questioned. Your word is the word. And so he's not used to having these people stand up to him and say, yeah, that's not going to work for us. We don't want that.
He corrected himself because he knew you're going to make fun of it and say that he was going to stay steady the course as a bulldozer would. So stay steady the course.
And it's so hard to listen to that, because it's like, no, what it is you are so used to your word is law. And that's it. And you don't like it when people come back. And this is another reason why parents will have a lot of falling out with their teenagers, not just in religion, but in because all of a sudden the kids grow up and they're like, yeah, I don't think I like that.
He'll allow Robin, because of the way that their relationship is, and she's a soulmate, to correct him, if you will, or to call out. But he still will not, his pride will not allow the other wives to be able to hold him accountable for behaviors that he's done. He's not going to be held accountable.
Right.
So he's the only one that's been wounded, because in the big picture of
what they did to him
was they broke their covenant, and he never did anything that warranted to that. So,
and these men will die on that hill.
Yeah, he's
will 100% die on the hill that they did nothing to warrant your covenant being broken with them, and that you are the bad one. Okay. So then we flip over to Janelle and Maddie. And I really loved watching this conversation with these two. I think it's so hilarious. But she's talking about, I love the way that Maddie, we'll play this clip.
I love the children's sense of humor. So the children's sense of humor, to be able to make fun of their dad and the situation and things he said, it's very disrespectful within the polygamous group. It's amazing outside of it. And yeah, my poor parents have had to deal with my humor for quite a long time. So I resonate with the kids.
Yeah.
I love the kids' sense of humor.
Dad does not like the humor either, but here we go.
That's all done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It sounds like an emotional, like he's not in your life anymore, so he now wants to put himself back in your life.
I suspect it has something to do with the family and
Maddie she nails that.
She's right on, yeah.
She nails that one completely. You're not in his life anymore, and he doesn't like that. So he's going to try to put a little hook in you and bring you back into his life. I think it's hilarious. I think Maddie is very wise in a lot of the things that she says, and a lot of things the way that she sees things.
She sees it from a kid's point of view. I mean, this is where I felt like a lot of the things that I learned what not to do within marriage and being a parent was watching my parents, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do it that way. That I didn't like that as a kid. And so she's very wise and got a great sense of humor and going to do things a little bit different. So,
well, and I love the way Janelle says that. Do you think that you could accept an apology? And Maddie's like, well, yeah, apology, forgiveness. Yes, I could do that. But to allow him back into our lives, that would take some consistency. That would take he would have to show up differently. And that's the thing is
he would have to create a pattern of consistency.
You're right. Right.
So,
and then, and that is, I just feel like in this religion, and I know it's not just this religion. I get that it's all religions, but in this one, the way that we grew up is it's like, I said it, so therefore it's true. And you just have to believe me, and you just have to do whatever I said.
Yeah. I apologized.
And it's like,
So-
don't question me. I'm your parent. And I'm sorry, but the mothers are even this way with the children. It's like, my word is the word. My word is the final word. You don't get to question this, or you get the back of my hand. And so a lot of times that is what happens. And again, I know it's not just polygamy. I get those comments all the time. This is not just polygamy. I totally get that. But this is how we were taught. It's like the mother was in charge of the children and her word was the word. The husband was in charge of the wife and the children, and his word was the word. The priesthood leaders are in charge of all of you guys. So do what you're told.
And when they differed, then you as a child were confused.
Yeah.
So
and you
when
didn't understand because
different mothers had different rules. Dad and mothers had different rules. So it was very confusing growing up as a kid.
Right.
So.
Right. And so we'll just show you this one little clip just because it's just cute and funny.
But maybe he does just want to extend an olive branch
Yeah, maybe.
so he can walk you down the aisle in your next wedding.
Yeah, no.
And she just nailed it perfect.
Yeah.
That was freaking.
Her delivery was
She's
great.
amazing. Great going. Great going, Maddie. You are funny. I appreciate your humor. So this is stuff that we would make fun of our parents for too. So
right. I think it's so hilarious. Her delivery on that was like so spot on too, because she just said it and just went right into it. Okay. And then we flip back over to Mary, and she's talking about dating again. And she talks about how she feels like her whole life is a lie. This I really want to talk about too, because I feel like this is so true. Like, especially for women, like my mom who's in her 70s, Corey's mom who's in her 70s. It's like, how do you convince women like this that what happened, a lot of it was a lie? They're seeing it play out on TV in the Brown family, but do they relate it to their own families too, of the misguiding and the mislying and the lying? All the original wives feel lied to by Cody. Even Robin does. She even admits in this episode that she feels like she was lied to. And Mary's like, okay, so you said you loved me. I was with you for 30 years or however long she was with him, 20 years. And now you say you don't.
and your behavior has shown that you don't.
So what's true? And that is what is so frustrating when you get into a religious cult or a high demand religion, is you don't know what's true anymore, because wait a minute, this was true now, but it's not true. This was true then and it's not true now. And it gets very, very confusing, especially when the doctrines collide and change. And we have said this on our channel from day one. The AUB makes up the rules as they go along. It depends on who the prophet is. It depends on your last name. It depends on who you are. It's depending on how you get handled. And so I really appreciated when Mary said that, because that is a huge part of deconstructing that she'll have to go through. We've had to go through, like, what is true and what's not true. Your spouse lies to you all the time. In this religion, especially in this religion, you've got a man who will lie to your face because he doesn't want to deal with the repercussions from another wife. And so he'll lie to you to make her happy. And then he'll go back and he'll lie to her to make you happy. And then he'll go back and he'll lie to another wife to make the rest of you happy, because he never wants to be held.
And he's going to justify that as for their protection, or their what is it? Their emotional protection. I just
omitted a few things because didn't want to deal with that.
Misguide you for your protection.
So. Right. And so you get to a point where you're like, what is true? And so I actually just posted a video about this on TikTok a couple of days ago, that I had made a year ago, and it came up as a memory. So I reposted it. It's about finding yourself, and how do you find yourself after you leave a high demand religion like this? And it's literally, you don't know, because you've been told what to do your entire life. You've been lied to your entire life. And so you don't know your up from down. You don't know your head from your ass 90% of the time. And so in this video, one of the things I was saying is just make the next right decision. Yep. What is true for me right now, and make that next right choice. And that's almost how you have to deconstruct some of this, because you get a man like Cody Brown, who is the majority, 98%, I would say, of polygamous men are just like Cody Brown. And if you're part of that 2%, yay for you. But there's not a lot of them that don't do this, because they just don't want to deal with the accountability of, you know what, I'm going to piss off this wife that I love. So I'm not going to, I'm just going to lie to this other wife. And then they never have to be accountable for what's actually happening.
And most of the men who are different eventually end up leaving. So,
or getting
being
kicked out.
So
yeah.
if they have a different thought pattern, if they're kind, if they discuss things with their wives, eventually there's communication going on. They're just not listening to the husband and following along blindly. A lot of times those husbands will leave the AUB over time. If they're in there for the long haul and make it to profit, that's exactly how they are.
Right. So, right. And I think it's really sad because
or council member. There's some of you council members that are almost up there. So,
but I think it's really sad that these men, when especially you're seeing it in Cody Brown's case, 25 years, 30 years down the road, they've gotten away with this behavior for so long that they don't even know how to be a decent human being. They go on special forces and they don't know how to be honest. They don't know how to do these kind of things because they've never had to be held to account because they're used to just being able to say whatever they want and get away with it.
Well, I feel like there's moments in time that they are honest and then they backtrack.
Then they backpedal real fast. And you see that because I do feel like in special forces, he did that one. There's a couple times in that moment, he was very genuine. Yeah. And then he went and backpedaled the hell out of that, which then invalidated what he was saying. And and it's sad. All right, let's do this one last little clip here. We only have a couple.
Married yet. My heart isn't soft enough to actually apologize to them yet. The devil gets in your head. You know, hey, Father in heaven, I need some help here. Because me, this jackwagon, I'm just an asshole to most people. And I really don't want to do that anymore. I never thought I was until I got divorced. I thought everybody liked me.
And that's right there is the exact example of why when these women aren't honest with their husbands and tell them what, then they believe stuff like that. They believe that what they're doing is just, is right, is benevolent, whatever words he wants to use for it. Then he actually truly does believe that about himself because he's been lied to for 30 years. His behavior has been accepted and given a seal of approval by these three women. They did him a huge disservice by doing this. And then Robin comes in and wipes all that away.
The whole relationship was, they were saying, you're amazing, you're this. And he was saying, I love you. So they were lying back and forth to each other.
They were. And I think it's really sad because he genuinely believes that he's the hero of his own story. And yet there's all this evidence around him supporting him that's not true. His children don't believe he's a hero. His ex-wives don't believe he's a hero. And yet in his own mind, he genuinely believes he's the hero in this situation. And he can't forgive these women for taking that away from him, for popping his little bubble and creating a reality that's now probably true, where before the reality that these women created for him just wasn't true. Let's see. I want to do this one last little, this is the one that just, this one lit me up so hard. Again, we'll go into it here in just a second. Let's see here. Oh, come on. Unmute.
Instead of going, live your best life and be at peace, I was really, really angry and with more of an attitude of why are you interrupting and destroying my peace? And that wasn't the right attitude to have. The reason
You think that wasn't the right attitude to have? Again, this goes right back to what we were saying at the beginning of this video, is that he believes, and most polygamous men believe, I have this wife, I put her in this corner, I'll come and get to her when I get to her. And she goes, wait a minute, I don't like being in this corner anymore, I'm leaving. And now she's destroying his peace because she doesn't want to be treated this way anymore. It's so infuriating. You know, when I got divorced, I'm going to go into a little rant here because Corey hates hearing it, but when I got divorced, it was like my ex-husband liked prostitutes. I didn't like prostitutes. For some reason, that wasn't a valid reason to get a divorce. And so then I did this to him because I should have just sat home like a good little wife with 3 little babies at 25 years old and allowed him to go hire his little prostitutes and do whatever he want. But the minute I stood up and said, yeah, I don't want to be treated like that anymore. That's not okay with me. I'm out of here. I destroyed his peace. When these women said, no, we don't want to be treated like this anymore. Go spend your time with Robin. That's where you want. We want to find partners that want to spend time with us. Now they've destroyed Cody's peace. That is the most infuriating thing that I think I've ever heard this man say. And again, these men truly believe they can just sit these women up on shelves, put them out to pasture, do whatever it is that they want to with them. And the minute that this woman gets any little harebrained idea in her head that says, I deserve better than that, now they've destroyed this man's peace.
He was just being a good priesthood leader and
I said the F word.
Giving some money to somebody who needed clothes. And here you're judging him just because of where it was at that he gave the money.
So he's trying to give a prostitute clothes.
Yeah.
Oh,
clothe the
goodness
hungry
of this man's heart.
Clothe the naked and feed the hungry, and you're judging him for that.
Oh my gosh,
so
that's funny. But no,
every polygamous man can justify his way out of behaviors, so it's awesome.
Yeah,
everybody can. So, but
it's so infuriating to watch. We'll leave you with this one. Well, we'll dissect this here in a minute, but this one last episode, did I not get one?
No, you're almost there, I think.
Okay.
So.
I'm on the right path. I have something that I think is a righteous course.
Self-righteous.
I'm looking forward to Janelle coming here and looking forward to laying it all out bare with what I've done.
I guess we did miss it. He just says when his little car ride that he's literally going to bury the hatchet. And I'm like, run, Janelle. Run.
This man's bringing a hatchet with him.
He's coming with the hatchet. But she's a Teflon queen. That hatchet probably will just bounce off her. So,
oh my gosh, I can't believe you actually remembered that. I always forget that part of it.
So
I think it's awesome you remember that.
Yeah.
Oh,
her Teflon will always deflect his hatchet. So
yeah,
he'll probably end up with that hatchet in his other kidney. So
that's funny.
He needs to be careful. But
this episode did bring up a lot for me, at least, being somebody who has been divorced from a man very similar to Cody, watching my mom, who is currently leaving my dad. With her experience,
he never got 4 wives.
That's true. That was my fault because I didn't allow him to get the 3 wives. That's why he had to get prostitutes, because I didn't allow him to have 3 wives.
No.
What?
Look at you justifying his behavior.
No, look at me taking accountability for what the things that I did.
No, he can forgive you probably.
Can he?
Yeah.
So this episode gave us a lot. It was fun to watch with both of we literally took 3 hours to watch it. Yeah. It felt like it because we had pause and then talk and pause and talk, but there's a lot going on. I know everyone thinks that these episodes are boring. There's because there's not a lot of activity, but there's so much that's being said that's not really being,
justifying his behaviors,
right?
And why he feels justified
to
be angry at them.
In a patriarchal system, like this isn't just polygamy that this happens. This happens in a lot of patriarchal societies where these men are infallible. And these women should just tolerate that. And the minute that they don't want to tolerate that, they've now destroyed this man's peace. And it is infuriating to watch.
Any religion that tells you can't question leadership is very similar to the AUD.
Could probably be a cult.
Yep.
And you probably should look into that. So let us know what your thoughts are. Yep. Put them there in the comments, and we'll try to answer any of the questions you guys might have. We are going to go live and talk about these things. So watch for our lives on our channels. Yep. If you're not getting the notifications, you might have to un-notify yourself and then re-notify yourself. We've been hearing that people aren't getting notifications when we go live. There was a lot that happened in this episode that explained a lot of the behavior of these people that we're seeing of the majority of the people that we know growing up behave
They're
this way.
starting to tell the truth.
Right.
So Robin's telling the truth that she doesn't even trust Cody. It's awesome.
And she influences Cody just with that face.
Everything everybody's been saying for
years. She's
years.
finally acknowledging.
She's like, yeah.
So this was definitely a long video. Again, I had 4.5 pages of notes. We skipped some of them, just the less important things, but
I had 2 pages, and that's a lot for me.
It is. Corey watches me over there writing down like a madman. But let us know what you guys think. Again, thank you guys so much for following us. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified when we upload a video. And we also have other social medias. Our links are on our profile. We do more daily updates. So we did a bunch of updates for the holiday, for our Thanksgiving on Instagram. And then we have our TikTok where we do our live reaction on Sunday nights or Monday mornings. And then we also have a Facebook page, which I don't do a lot on the Facebook page, but I have everything that on Instagram goes over to Facebook. So let us know if you guys have any questions, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, guys.